If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Perfect example of how they are trying to tank, destroy the U.S. economy. And this is going to happen around the world. I'm just covering what's happening here in the U.S. right now as far as the economy goes. But if you want to, you could always check over in the UK on how there's massive food shortages, which are coming here as well, because, well, they're telling us they're coming, and that's usually how they work. Number one, best way to destroy the economy: don't create new jobs. And at the same time, fire people for not taking a magic potion. This is the U.S. jobs market.
Are coming down pretty rapidly. We just have this jobs report. Steve, what do you see?
194.
Whoa.
I see 194,000. That is real low.
On off the presses, a brand new jobs report, a look at the state of the economy. Chief business correspondent Christine Romans with the new details. What does it say?
All right, let me just run through the top line numbers for you here, John, because it's a real brain teaser. 194,000 net new jobs added, way less than anybody expected, and less than last month, and the worst of the year.
So, less jobs created, more people fired. Makes perfect sense, right? For the destruction of the U.S. economy. Then you get a spike in prices, right? Because what's happening is a shortage of products on the shelf. So supply and demand doesn't exist because there is no supply. So it's just demand. And how is that happening? Well, I'm sure you've heard about the cargo ship situation. You might have been distracted by that oil spill, wink, wink, that conveniently happened while, I don't know, hundreds of cargo ships are sitting off the coasts and of the Pacific coast and on the East Coast, just sitting there. And the reason being, well, what's the reason? Oh, they don't really give you one.
Off the coast of Los Angeles, the reason you're paying more for everyday items and perhaps struggling to find some in the store? A vital parking lot in the Pacific. Container ships, mostly from Asia, stretching across the horizon. To get an up-close view, we rode along with L.A. Port Police Marine 12. It didn't take long. The radar suddenly filled with ships.
That's it right here. They're right outside the outer harbor.
76 ships waiting for up to 10 days each to enter the port of Los Angeles or nearby Long Beach.
Everywhere you look, there's a ship just sitting out here in the water.
And 500,000 containers. But this is just one component of the stretched global supply chain that runs from Asian manufacturers across the Pacific to American consumers, now backed up and bottlenecked. Gene Soroka runs the Port of Los Angeles, America's biggest.
How many ships a day now are coming in here?
In the last month and a half, we're averaging 18 ships a day.
That's nearly double the number that arrived daily before the pandemic. Making matters worse, there aren't enough truck drivers to take the goods from the docks to the nation's stores.
The American importer cannot digest all of this cargo into their domestic supply chains. 50% of all truckers licensed to do business at the ports no longer come here.
Hired away by internet and big chain retailers. It's not just California. New York's ports are also backed up and leading to a shortage of everything from electronics to toys to cars and car parts, building materials, clothing, and sending prices higher.
A lot of those holiday gifts you're hoping to give right now may be stuck sitting out here on the water. The question is whether they're going to be offloaded out of those massive containers onto the trucks, onto the rail lines, and to your local store in time for the holidays.
So the books not showing up in time or showing up one at a time would affect us greatly.
Ashlyn Kristoff owns Serendipity and Muse House Retreat gift shops in Studio City, now hoping her orders arrive in time for the holidays.
What we were being quoted was 4 to 6 weeks turnaround time, but some of the orders that I had placed earlier in the year I still have yet to see.
Her own supply chain now backed up into the Pacific.
Yeah, so the bottom line here, according to the experts, if you're thinking about holiday gifts, you should start probably ordering now. Don't wait till Thanksgiving. Don't wait until the run up to Christmas and Hanukkah. Order now, because there may not be enough when it actually comes time for the holidays. They may be stuck right out there. Guys, back to you.
You know, Tom, it was a fascinating first-hand look there. Really quickly, how long do experts think this is going to go on?
Yeah, the director of the Port of Los Angeles thinks this is going to extend well into next year, maybe into the second or third quarter. And oh, by the way, this is a sign of how well the economy is doing, right? Consumer demand is exploding, but there aren't enough truck drivers. So, by the way, there are a lot of job openings right now for qualified truck drivers across the country to get stuff off the docks and to stores near you.
Oh, this makes perfect sense, right? We have a shortage of supplies, shortage of food, shortage of Christmas presents, shortage of all of this stuff on the shelves. And who's to blame? Oh, you mean because people have lost their jobs? People are all truck drivers quitting their jobs? Is that what's happening? All the truck drivers don't want to drive their trucks. Thus, these crates are just going to remain filled while the boat just sits out there filled with cargo. There's no way to figure this out. There's no way to get the stuff off the boat, to get the manufacturers to come there and figure out a way with their employees that they pay to get their products on the shelves. This is done strategically. They don't even need to give you a reason. The reason is what? Truck shortages going on. Watch out for the oil spill. Things that don't make sense. Because if the world worked the way they claim the American dream is supposed to work, people would they would say, what's the percentage of people croaking from this? Not worth me losing everything in my livelihood, not worth me firing all of my employees, not worth the world shutting down over. But in their minds, and the minds of the people who believe it, it is. Because they don't think. They let the TV think for them. So businesses are going under. Gas prices, again, skyrocketing. They're factoring that in to why these trucks aren't delivering products. They are even trying to play on the heartstrings of people, because we know this is everybody's favorite time of year. It's the most satanic time of year for all these people out there who love Halloween, right? Well, guess what? They're even going to get you mad and say there's not enough costumes on the shelves because the ships aren't delivering it.
With Halloween closing in, a nightmare for retailers is becoming a reality.
It's been a very difficult year to get costumes and decorations in store, in stock.
Demand is picking up at this Chicago costume shop, but there's a major slowdown getting merchandise on the shelves. From congested ports to truck driver shortages, the ongoing supply chain issues mean products are still stuck in transit.
We're still waiting on about 25 or 30% of the merchandise to come in that we've previously ordered, and some of it probably won't even ever come in before the holiday.
They are not alone. Spirit Halloween operates roughly 1,400 pop-up locations across the country, and they're also haunted by shipping delays.
When did you realize this was going to be an issue?
It really all showed up in April when we were starting our shipping. All of a sudden, the supply of containers dried up.
If I were a customer walking into your store, would you notice anything different?
As a customer, you might notice some bald spots.
With COVID canceling many festivities last Halloween, Americans plan to go big this year, expected to spend a record $10 billion on costumes, decorations, and more.
This year, hopefully I find, what I'm looking for, but who knows?
New costumes this year, like tracksuits inspired by the Netflix hit Squid Game, are selling out fast and may be harder to get closer to Halloween.
The Squid Game stuff has been really every other person is asking for it.
Your soul will be mine.
To avoid the scare of not finding that perfect costume,
try and get to the store early.
Now.
Like now would be great.
And some retailers say don't be spooked by higher price tags as they try to make up for the cost of doing business. That goes for pumpkins too. They're facing a shortage in some parts of the country because of extreme weather.
They're hard to find and they're extremely expensive.
All of this programming is programming to prepare people for nothing on the shelves. This goes for food, this goes for clothing, this goes for everything. And they're blaming it all on this one thing that the whole world can use as an out to reset the economy, to reset the world. And that's why it's happening and what they're doing with it. You don't hear any accountability for the economy. That's usually the number one thing. My whole life, I'm sure most of you who are older, all you would hear, the main thing the president would talk about would be the economy, jobs, and taxes. And there would be a bore fest. Nobody would listen. I mean, because these guys aren't going to lower your taxes anyway. But that's all they would talk about. Now we're talking about sensitivity training. We're talking about the race baiting in school, all this nonsense that they're pushing. We're talking about the sensitivity of gender. I mean, it's unreal. And nobody seems to care that they're deliberately destroying the dollar. And then when they go, well, these are things that are more important. Yeah, just wait until it all goes down like it is right now. And you don't have anything and you need to go to Big Brother for everything. Then these idiots are going to realize what they've done because they're little sensitive fairies. What's the big problem here? Well, the big problem is that they've told us outright that they need to reset the world, that they need to reset the economy. And this is how they're doing it. And people don't see it. They see the World Economic Forum stuff and they're like, oh, yeah, I just won't address this, I'll address all other conspiracies that make it look like I know what I'm talking about because they seem like I can joke around about it. But when it comes to this, they don't want to talk about it because they can't deflect and they can't crack jokes and try to act funny to continue to brainwash the people on the left with, tinfoil hats and all this. You have Biden, you have world leaders from around the world at these forums talking about resetting the economy, ending the industrial age and going into the new industrial revolution, which is transhumanism, which is everything digital. Okay? People don't seem to realize that everything has to be destroyed to get to it. They don't care until it affects them, which it will. But as long as they have their video games, as long as nobody hurts their feelings about what they're tucking between their legs, then everything's fine with them. Because they'll be protected by Big Brother. They trust in Big Brother. So this cargo thing is one of the funniest things they've done in a while. Because it just shows you they don't even need to give you excuses for why products aren't being put on shelves. Oh, there's no truck drivers. Oh, there's no truck drivers. Okay. I see plenty of trucks when I go out. I don't even live in a very crowded area. I've been on highways in the last 6 months, seen trucks everywhere. There's a lot of people on this channel who are truck drivers. And they comment and they tell me what they see and how things aren't being put on their trucks, that people are showing up and they're not giving them anything to deliver in some cases. This is all done on purpose. Now, one of the other things, of course, is the food shortage that ties into this. This right now, what you're seeing with the cargo is to push more of well, you're not going to have Christmas this year. You're not going to have Halloween this year. And one of the things, of course, they'll blame are the people who haven't taken the magic potion, of course, right? Why wouldn't they? The idiots will believe it. They'll get all butthurt about it. And they'll want more restrictions and more excluding us from society so they can have their little pagan holidays back, right? Because don't think for a second that the elites aren't celebrating Samhain and that they're not celebrating their pagan Christmas with massive rituals underground, because they are. And it's frightening to imagine what they really do with those. But anyway, point being is that after this, what you're going to see is the food shortage. And one of the things, with cargo that they're talking about, because people are going, well, what about the local farmers and the local this and the local that? Well, there's a surplus of missing canned goods in stores. And they're putting out stories about it, and they're saying there's going to be a shortage of anything canned gravies, canned soups, canned vegetables, anything in a can. Why? Because that's food you can preserve. They don't want you to preserve food. They don't want you to have canned goods. Right? Makes sense. They want full control. Just like everyone has heard about the farmers who are told not to farm their crops and are being paid more money to kill off their crops than to actually farm their crops. Haven't heard that one? Well, that's true. Look it up. These are things that are happening. They are coming in from all angles. And the one weapon that they're trying to use the most is silencing free speech, because if people realized what they were doing, they would be overthrown. The thing is, though, people aren't hearing it because they're censoring it. And number two, they aren't where you think they are because they're underground. They aren't in these places that they're popping up. These are green screened. You think Fauci's been out in public in the last 8 months, or Gates? Yeah, you kidding me? Not a chance. Other than going to the G7 summits or whatever they are, the S7 summit or the Bilderberg or whatever meetings they're going to. Other than that, they're not. So they're deliberately doing this. Cargo ships are deliberately sitting out there. They try to blame it on things like oil spills. So people just go, oh, that's why. Well, the news reporter in that clip had no problem driving out there to the cargo ships. The Coast Guard's been out there. What's the problem? Oh, you want to take things off the shelves instead of put them on the shelves. You want to take jobs away instead of creating jobs. You want to fire people when there's a lack of jobs being produced. Yeah, it doesn't smell like you're trying to just kill off the economy, kill off the dollar, and reset everything all over with no debt. Everyone starts at zero. All the millennials will be clapping and applauding. I don't have to pay my student debt anymore. I don't have to pay off my credit cards. Okay, let's do it. There's no more people with money. We're all even. Yeah, that's exactly what we need. We need to all be even while all the rich sit on mountains of money so that they can control all the resources, including the food and the air you breathe, because they manipulate that too. So this is what they're doing, folks. Keep an eye on it. I'll continue covering these stories. I put up a video on the website at callfornuprising.com about the religious exemption and what they're trying to do to it. It ties in with what's going on in Texas with the Satanic Temple. It's pretty important information, especially if you're somebody out there who's trying to use it. I know people on the website have been reporting that they've been told they've given religious exemptions and their bosses have said no, which is just unbelievable. It's a violation of your human rights. The whole thing is a violation of all your rights. And what they're trying to do in the media is flip this and turn this on Christians, saying that Christians are making it up as an excuse to manipulate and beat the system. That's the narrative that's coming, and it's already here. I should cover that on the website at callfornuprising.com, so get over there. Again, if I get a strike on this channel, I won't be able to upload anywhere until late next week. So make sure you're on the website. I'm doing my best to stay here. I want to thank the patrons for being here. If you can afford to become a patron, please consider doing so. I understand if you can't. I know it's not, the world ain't sunshine and cupcakes anymore, whatever the expression is. But I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you all. God bless you and your families.